composition, everything in the frame either adds or subtracts to the image. And this is such an important rule of composition that we're going to look at some images now and see how, by having elements in the frame that can really change a picture or decide whether a picture is valuable or not. Okay, so why have I included this picture? Because I want to show you that there's so much going on in this picture. It's an awful picture. Why is it awful? Well, okay. What you've got is you've got these alien eggs, which are quite interesting, and you've got two kids who want to hang out and they want their photos taken on it. So you've got the potential for a great shot here. What's the problem? Let's have a look at some of the issues with this picture. Everything in the frame either adds or subtracts. You've got the edge issue. You've got something invading the edge of the frame. So with the egg, it's cropped at the frame. This, I think, is one of the most basic compositional mistakes most photographers make. They'll have something half in, half out of the frame, or they'll have something sticking in the frame. Guard the edges of the frame. Make sure everything in the frame either adds or is not there, because that is just subtracting. It just looks like you've cut the edge off. You haven't framed it properly. Terrible, terrible, terrible image. And then we've got all this busy green and high contrast in the top right there, which is drawing the eye. And then we've got this high point of contrast on the grass, in the top left. You've got one piece of grass that's very bright. Then you've got this brown streak running through. And then you've got this dark tangled mess on the left and something white on the floor. All of these things just take your eyes away from the subject. And nearly everything in this frame is detracting. I wanted to show a really extreme example of how what's in the frame really affects the quality of the image. Now this one's a little bit more challenging. Have a look at it and see what you think. Now we've got some interesting points going on. We've got 3 children playing in the water. And we've got 3 people with the donkey. But we've almost got this, this piece of wood, this sign at the beach sort of encroaching. Does that add or subtract? For me, that actually subtracts. That stops this being a really compelling image, because that's taking my eye out of the frame. It's saying there's something going on outside this frame other than what's in the frame. And it's very strong. It's very contrasting. My eye is drawn there. So that is something for me that this image, it just loses. It detracts from the frame. It's not really bad, but for me it detracts. So everything in the frame either adds or detracts. Now this is another example for me. The story is in the little spade in the sand and the 2 little boys playing. Now the 2 people in the waves in the back, that is drawing my eye away. That is a strong area of contrast, some bright reds. So my eye is drawn over there. And I don't really want my eye drawn over there. I want people to see the story. I want to see the 2 children. And when I've composed it, I'm a little bit too high. If I'd have come down a little bit, what would have happened? They would have been closer together. The story would have been much stronger. And without the 2 girls in the background, this would have been a much more compelling image. So again, everything in the frame either adds or subtracts. So the spade adds, the little boys add, but the 2 girls at the top detract. Now this one here. Now for me, this is just a candid street photography. I love the bags, and I love the this sort of 80s look that these 2 girls have, especially when I actually come from the 80s. And it's interesting to see the fashion cycle back. But I've got so much in this image that's beginning to detract, that the image, struggles to work. I've got this worst thing, I think, is this on the brick wall here. You've got these rocks which are white, and there's high points of contrast. So your eye is drawn to that. Then you've got the buildings in the back, and you've got the green, and there's just so much going on. And then you've got a car sticking out from the girl in blue's shoulder. There's a lot of things in this that's subtracting from the frame. Yes, the girls themselves, they add, but then the rest of the story detracts. So again, we're struggling with this image because everything either adds or subtracts. And then this there's way too much stuff subtracting. And really, in my images, I don't want anything to subtract from the image. I want everything in the frame to add. Now this one, however, is a little bit different, okay, because I've got the pier, and it's a very tiny portion of the frame is devoted to the pier. And I've done that because I want these clouds. They're so dramatic. They're so powerful. So for me, everything in this frame adds. Everything in this frame creates a sense of depth. It creates a sense of power. It creates a sense of the sky just being so big and so large. So that for me works. There's nothing in this for me that subtracts from the image. And when you start to do that, then your images become interesting. There's nothing in there to throw the mind to create a distraction.